I feared him. Denis Law was one of the greatest strikers football has ever seen. He won the Ballon d'Or. He scored goals that made crowds roar. But even legends have nightmares, and Law named 5 men who made him afraid every time he stepped on the pitch. Football in the 1960s and 1970s was brutal. It was not the game you watch today. Back then, defenders were allowed to hurt you. Referees let them get away with it. There were no red and yellow cards until 1976. If you were a striker like Law, you were in danger every single match. Law was fast and clever, but he was also small and light. That made him a target. The 5 men he feared most were not just tough, they were hunters, and Law was their prey. The first man on the list was Ron Harris. They called him Chopper. He played for Chelsea. Harris was cold and calculating. He did not tackle you to win the ball. He tackled you to hurt you. His specialty was the late tackle. He would arrive just after you passed the ball. His studs would catch your ankle or shin. The pain was bad, but the fear was worse. You knew it was coming, but you could not stop it. Harris had a strange double life. Off the pitch, he seemed normal. Some people even said he looked harmless. But when the whistle blew, he became a different person. He enjoyed hurting people. In the dressing room, he played cruel pranks on teammates. He would smear deep heat on their underwear and laugh. That sadism carried on to the field. Law knew Harris liked causing pain. The 1970 FA Cup final proved how dangerous Harris was. Chelsea played Leeds United, another team full of hard men. Harris went after everyone. He launched high tackles with his studs aimed at legs. He kicked, he grabbed, he pushed. And he was never sent off. He stayed on the pitch and lifted the trophy. Law watched that match and learned a lesson. If Harris could do that to other tough players, what would he do to a lightweight striker? The answer was clear. Law would get no mercy. Harris viewed fouls not as moral failings, but as professional necessities. That mindset made him more dangerous than emotional players. He was always in control, always calculating. Every tackle was designed to send a message. The message was simple. I will hurt you if I need to. For Law, playing at Stamford Bridge meant entering enemy territory. The London crowd loved Harris. They cheered when he left opponents on the ground. That atmosphere fed Harris's aggression. Harris earned his nickname, honestly. Former players said he would kick his grandmother to win a match. That ruthlessness extended to every opponent. Law was a marked man whenever Chelsea came to town. Harris would shadow him throughout the game, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and when that moment came, Harris never hesitated. The tackle would come late, always late, just enough to cause maximum pain while staying within the loose boundaries of what referees allowed. The second man was Norman Hunter. He played for Leeds United. His nickname was Bites Your Legs. The fans at Leeds loved him so much they put his nickname on banners. Hunter was not just one man, he was part of a machine. Leeds United was the most feared team in England. They played like a gang. If you hurt one of them, they all came after you. Hunter's job was simple: remove the danger. That meant removing the player and the ball. He did not care if you got hurt. In fact, he expected it. Hunter once said that if someone kicked him, he would kick them back, and neither of them would complain. That was the code. But for Law, it was terrifying. Hunter was not angry when he tackled. He was calm. He was like a robot programmed to destroy. Jack Charlton, Hunter's teammate, once kneed Law in the back while he was on the ground. Charlton told him to stop moaning. That was the Leeds way. They did not apologise. They did not feel sorry. Hunter was the enforcer of that philosophy. He swept up anyone who got too close to the Leeds goal, and sweeping up meant taking you out. The Bites Your Legs nickname became famous. The media loved it. The fans loved it. Hunter knew his reputation and used it. He wanted strikers to be afraid. And it worked. When Law saw Hunter's name on the team sheet, he knew he was in for a long, painful afternoon. The worst part was that Hunter never got tired. He would chase you for 90 minutes. There was no escape. Hunter once got into a fistfight on the pitch with Francis Lee. The two men traded punches in front of everyone. That image stuck in Law's mind. Hunter was not just tough. He was willing to turn a football match into a street fight. Playing against him meant walking a tightrope between sport and assault. Leeds United under Don Revie was more than a team. It was a family, and that family protected itself with violence. Hunter was the muscle, the one who made sure nobody took liberties. Law knew that facing Hunter meant facing the entire Leeds system. If Hunter hurt you, the others would finish the job. There was no refuge, no safe space on the pitch. Hunter played the game with a transactional coldness. There was no malice in his eyes, just duty. He had a job to do, and that job was stopping players like Law by any means necessary. The fact that Hunter accepted getting kicked as part of the game made him more dangerous. He did not complain. He did not get emotional. He just kept coming. The third man was Tommy Smith. He played for Liverpool. They called him the Anfield Iron. Bill Shankly, the Liverpool manager, said Smith was not born. He was quarried. That tells you everything. Smith was hard as rock and just as immovable. Smith's approach was simple. He did not just tackle opponents. He broke them down for resale as scrap. That was how he saw it. You were not a player. You were raw material. And his job was to process you into nothing. For a skillful player like Law, this was dehumanizing. Smith did not care about your talent. He only cared about stopping you. Smith used words as weapons too. He would point at the bench and tell you that you would be sitting there in 10 minutes if you did not behave. That kind of threat got into your head. Law would hesitate. And in football, hesitation is death. If you check where Smith is for even a second, the chance is gone. Smith's reputation went beyond tough. People called him a psycho. Jamie Redknapp said players would signal to their bench that number 4 was crazy, but Smith was also a winner. He captained Liverpool to European Cups and league titles. That made him even scarier. He was not just violent, he was successful. And he only got sent off once in his whole career. That was for arguing with the referee, not for hurting someone. He knew how to stay just inside the rules while causing maximum damage. For Law, facing Smith meant facing the Liverpool machine. Smith saw Law as the enemy, not just a tactical threat, but a symbol. He defended the honour of the cop, and he did it with collisions that felt like car crashes. Smith did not need to kick you, he just ran through you. And after he flattened you, he would ask if you were all right. That mix of violence and fake concern was his trademark. The rivalry between Manchester United and Liverpool added fuel to the fire. These were not just matches. They were wars. Smith took them personally. He saw Law as the face of the enemy. Every tackle on Law was a blow for Liverpool pride, and Smith never held back. Smith's autobiography was titled Anfield Iron. That name captured his essence perfectly. He was forged in the fires of competition, hardened by years of battle, unbreakable. For attackers, facing Smith was like running into a brick wall, over and over again, until you gave up or got carried off. The fourth man was Billy Bremner. He was Law's teammate for Scotland. They wore the same national shirt, but when they faced each other at club level, that friendship disappeared. Bremner played for Leeds United. He was the captain, and he was everywhere on the pitch. Bremner was only 5 feet 5 inches tall, the same height as Law, but height did not matter. Bremner was hard as nails. He made up for his size with pure aggression. He was the engine of Leeds. He powered their attacks and their violence. Law knew Bremner well, maybe too well. That made it worse. Law knew Bremner would not hesitate to hurt a friend. Bremner never stopped running. He chased you all game, from the first minute to the last. He snapped at your ankles, pulled your shirt, and left stud marks on your legs. For Law, who needed space to work, Bremner was suffocating. The pitch felt smaller when Bremner was on it. The fact that they were both Scottish added another layer. There was no mercy between them. If anything, Bremner seemed to go harder on Law, as if he had something to prove. Bremner fought Ron Harris in the 1970 Cup final. He threw punches at one of the toughest men in football. That showed Law what Bremner was capable of. If he could fight Harris, he could destroy anyone. Bremner's leadership style was based on shared suffering. He expected his teammates to give everything, and he expected his opponents to suffer just as much. He would drive through a snowstorm to help a teammate, but on the pitch, he showed no compassion. Law described Bremner as someone who could play a bit, but Bremner left the subtle violence to his partner Johnny Giles. Bremner provided the raw energy, the direct confrontation. He was the pocket battleship, small but mighty, and absolutely fearless. That fearlessness made him unpredictable. You never knew when Bremner would snap. The fifth and final man was Dave Mackay. He was the most feared of them all. If the other four were dangerous, Mackay was the apex predator. He was the hard man's hard man. Even the tough guys were scared of him. The proof is in one famous photograph. It shows Mackay grabbing Bremner by the shirt and lifting him off the ground. Bremner, the man who fought Harris and terrorised Law, offered no resistance. He looked like a child being scolded. That image told Law everything. If Mackay could do that to Bremner, what could he do to Law? The answer was anything he wanted. Mackay had a stare that could freeze you. People said his gaze could stop a room. He did not always need to tackle. His presence alone forced mistakes. Law joked in interviews about asking if it was safe to come home after Mackay retired. It was a joke, but there was truth in it. Law felt genuine relief when Mackay was no longer around. Mackay played with broken bones, a broken nose, broken legs, a broken toe. It did not matter. He kept playing. Sir Alex Ferguson remembered Mackay tackling him when Mackay was recovering from injury. After the collision, Mackay asked if Ferguson was all right. That mix of brutal violence and paternal condescension was his style. He hurt you, then checked on you, as if he was doing you a favour. Mackay was also a brilliant footballer. He could pass like a playmaker and tackle like a destroyer. That made him impossible to beat. You could not trick him. You could not outmuscle him. You could not run away from him. Fair but brutal. That was how people described him. You knew the hit was coming, but you could not stop it. Mackay played for Tottenham and later Derby County. At both clubs, he was the alpha, the leader, the one who set the standard. Other players looked to him for guidance, but opponents looked at him with fear. Law knew that Mackay was different from the others. Harris was cynical. Hunter was mechanical. Smith was brutal. Bremner was relentless. But Mackay was complete. He had no weakness. Mackay's barrel chest became legendary. It was a physical symbol of his immovability. Running into Mackay was like hitting a wall that hit back. And that wall never showed pain, never showed weakness. Mackay played the game with a warrior's mentality. He believed in honour, in fairness. But his version of fairness still involved breaking you in half if necessary. These 5 men represented different types of fear. Harris was the cynic. You feared the unseen tackle. Hunter and Bremner were machines. You feared exhaustion and inevitable contact. Smith was the brute. You feared the collision and the verbal threat. Mackay was the titan. You feared the superior being. They all came from different places. Leeds and Liverpool in the industrial north, Chelsea in London, but they shared one thing. They were allowed to hurt people. The referees did not protect players like Law. The rules did not stop them. They had free rein to do whatever they wanted. The culture of the time celebrated these men. They were heroes to their fans, working-class warriors who represented the toughness of their cities. Steel, coal and manufacturing powered those cities. And these players brought that industrial toughness to the pitch. They were not just footballers. They were symbols. Law's fear was not weakness. It was survival instinct. He scored 237 goals for Manchester United while these men hunted him. That is an incredible achievement. Every goal came with a price. Every run into the box meant risking injury. Every time he touched the ball, he had to check where they were. That radar for danger never turned off. These 5 men were not just defenders. They were kingslayers. Their job was to stop the King of Old Trafford, and they used every weapon they had. Studs, elbows, stares, and threats. They did it with the blessing of their managers and the love of their fans. The modern game has changed. VAR and strict rules have removed players like this. The hard man is extinct, but their legend lives on. And it lives on because of the testimony of the men they hunted. Denis Law's fear is the ultimate proof of their power. In the dream factory of 1960s football, These men were the nightmares, and their legacy is written in the bruises of the greatest players of all time. Law's admission gives us a window into a different era, an era where survival was as important as skill, where every match was a battle, where the beautiful game had an ugly side, and where 5 men ruled through fear. Looking back now, it seems impossible. How did players like Law survive? How did they keep playing? The answer is courage. Real courage. Not the kind you show once, but the kind you show every single week, knowing what was coming, knowing the pain that waited, and still stepping onto that pitch. That is why Law is a legend. Not just because of his goals, but because of who he faced to score them. Every goal was an act of defiance. Every celebration was a victory against fear. And the 5 men who made him afraid? They became part of his story, part of his greatness, because without them, we would never know how brave he really was. That's the video for today. If you want more stories from football's brutal past, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's next.